Hello, my name is Kaya Cross, and I will be giving you a presentation on the Solarwinds Hack. My LinkedIn is all thumbs, and my name is Kaya Cross. Let's talk. In this presentation, we will speak about the root cause, the preventative measures that were or should have been taken, the type of risk exposure that SolarWinds encountered, damages, basically the price tag or what had been destroyed, future prevention recommendations, and cost of damages and remediations proposed. But let's first talk about secrets. So basically, companies are required to tell their stockholders if they've been hacked or if they're at risk of being hacked as soon as they know about it. However, nobody wants to get fired. Nobody wants a bad reputation. People want to keep secrets. If I tell the boss that I let something through, I'm going to get fired for letting it through. And this goes all the way to the top, especially government. Government does not want to tell you when they have been hacked or what has been destroyed, and not just you, the other countries. We don't want Russia to know exactly that they did a good job or that what we've lost or what we don't have for our own military dominance. Because, and these are the chinks in the chainmail, is secrets. Transparency keeps us a lot safer. No one is safe when everyone's keeping secrets. And the truth is, it is hard to tease out these details because everyone wants to say as little as they have to. And that's really something we need to work on, is guarantee people that they won't lose their jobs for telling the truth. Guarantee that governments tell you as much as they can, because currently the government has not yet put out a report about the SolarWinds hack, and generally they put out reports, lessons learned about most things. Just like most companies, when there's a hack, you often put out a lessons learned report. You don't want it to happen again. But the government still, 2-3 years later, has not put that out. They're pretty tight-lipped. In fact, Biden created a whole department just to investigate hacks, and SolarWinds was supposed to be their very first priority, and they've done two other cases and still haven't even looked at SolarWinds. They don't really want anybody to know. Now, the SolarWinds attack, which we've all heard of in the news, it got into all the government agencies. It's like the most effective spy attack ever. The root cause is that it's a supply chain attack. It means that they altered the software at its source before they even compiled it. That way, when the company signs it digitally, it's the same exact file and the virus is built inside. This hack was quite sophisticated. They got in, got out, covered their tracks, were slow about doing it. They didn't raise any red flags. The code was so sophisticated that it seemed exactly like it was written by their in-house crafters with the syntax, the style, everything. Like you couldn't tell it was a different programmer. And they were so funny. They thought they were funny that while they were in there putting in the virus, they improved the code and made it better, more efficient, and cleaner. The people who did this hack were freaking geniuses. Now, the preventative measures missed, absolutely many are still unknown, but this is, they have a lawsuit that the SEC has filed against them. It's the first of its kind. They're the only victims of a hack that have ever been sued, and they're being sued for not being safe enough and not being transparent enough. They were told in 2017 by an employee that a hack was inevitable because of their security laxness. They should have been monitoring network traffic because that's exactly what happened. Someone got in that shouldn't have been in and was changing permissions and could have changed accounts, added new accounts, and given themselves permission to do whatever they wanted and get in there and cover their tracks. Now, let's talk about the risk profile that this company was at. They were an extremely attractive target. They had IT management software. That means you get in and get permission to do anything in a computer. That's the perfect place to put a virus. They were very popular software. Many companies use them. And they had a very high profile customer list, like governments, top IT companies. You couldn't get a better high profile customer list. This allowed you keys to the kingdom. And the other risk was they used the VPN and cloud. They had remote workers. This was during the COVID era. We weren't as good at it then. We were forced to do it quickly, and there are always mistakes made when you're forced to do something quickly. In such a big, attractive target like this, maybe they should not have remote workers or cloud, VPN, anything. Now let's talk about the price tag. We talked about secrets. This is one that is such a huge price tag. We can't even imagine how big it is. What we can look at is how much did they lose in their stock market? How much did they pay in lawsuits? But now, what about the other organizational losses? Other companies who were infected by the virus that they helped propagate. Let's look at that. So there were tons of victims. 18,000 people downloaded this virus, and especially government departments. And the government is still clueless about what even happened because they have bad logs and bad communication. They didn't even tell each other when they were hacked. It took like 6 months later when the Justice Department told the Department of Defense that they were hacked. They should obviously tell the Department of Defense first. They had already been talking to Solarwinds and told them they thought they had a virus. But they didn't tell the other government agencies, and they didn't keep good logs or records of what was going on, or they're just lying to us. Either one. We do not have access to those records. And private companies were also attacked, and we don't really know the costs that all of them have incurred. We know that on average it was about like 12 million each. So the SEC, that's the stock market cops, have filed a lawsuit in October of 2023, just recently. And they were the first of its kind. Like, no victim of a hack has ever been sued for being a victim of a hack before. But this one was so egregious and so powerful and made the government look bad. So the accusations from the government is that SolarWinds used loose account privileges, did not have their stuff tightened down, and that they were not following cyber best practices as published as everyone else is supposed to try to, as they said in all of their SEC filings, and that they were not being forthcoming, that they were keeping secrets. Not allowed. SEC does not allow that. You have to tell your stockholders what's going on so that they can make informed decisions. And during this lawsuit, one of the employees, when they were asked, how can you fix the software? How can you untangle this mess? Their quote was, they just can't see how we can unfunk this situation. It's a pretty powerful quote. Recommendations, risks, and prevention. So most of the companies that had downloaded the SolarWinds software and had downloaded the virus inside the software had really no risk if they were offline, behind a firewall, or had tight network permissions. However, lots of people got hit with this and were compromised because why? They were online with the server, which they should never have been. That's silly. They didn't have it behind a firewall. Like, who is their security people? Like, really? And they had really loose network permissions. It was easy to say this app can only speak to this network, but they didn't do that. And so they were wide open. Top IT companies, Microsoft, government agencies, I mean, top security firms, people who should know better. They all need to keep it locked down. They need to follow their own advice and their own best practices. But they didn't. For the cost and remediation, well, the cost is unimaginable. There's so many companies and individuals that were targeted by this, and we cannot really be guaranteed that they're not still being targeted. They can tell us that. Government certainly says they're confident that there's no more risk, but I'm not sure if we should believe them. It is still unfolding. Lawsuits can hurt your reputation. That's an unimaginable cost. And most companies said it was $12 million on average that they spent. And there were hundreds, at least 100, if not hundreds of companies that had to spend that. Solarwinds paid 18 million in remediation. However, their annual income is 740 million. So honestly, I think they lost less money than it would have cost to actually be secure. Or at least they didn't lose very much money. It was like a little bitty slap on the wrist. And that's another chink in the armor. Is it cheaper to pay for the damages than it is to pay for the actual security? It definitely takes a lot less effort. Final thoughts. We are not safe. There are chinks in the armor. The chinks in the armor are secrets. Individual benefits over the many. I don't want to lose my job. I'm not going to tell everybody that I made a mistake. And the fact that remediation and cost to reputation is just cheaper than good security. We are not safe.